All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Let's get this going, man. This breakdown going. All right, but before we start, just gonna let you know I will be covering the fight, doing live commentary for the full card tomorrow night. I should be here tomorrow night, Saturday night, about 7:30 p.m. Eastern. All right, the main card starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, but I will be here about 7:30 p.m. Eastern just to chop it up with you guys like I normally do. I usually come on an hour and a half early, chop it up, and then we go into the main card, and then I start doing commentaries on the last fights. We got a lot of heavyweights on this undercard. It's an amazing undercard, all right? It's totally loaded up of heavyweight fights. I love it, and we should have a good time. So I will be here. The fight is going to be on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, or you can watch it on Fox PBC pay-per-view. So you have the options to pick either one. It's the same price. It doesn't really matter to me. I guess it really depends on which network you prefer. All right? So let's talk about this fight. Now, I know a lot of people, I read a lot of comments, and I've been talking about this fight since last year. All right? I made many videos discussing things as far as preparation for Wilder, keys to victory. I've made several videos about this. Of course, there's many videos out there about the cheating allegations. If you're here to just view a video discussing cheating allegations, you're not going to get that here. We're going to get an actual breakdown. We're going to talk about what they do in the ring, the fighting styles, ways that Wilder can improve, ways that Fury can maintain. Because at this point, there's been a draw in the first fight. There was a win for Fury in the second fight, a stoppage win. Towel was thrown by Mark Breland. All right, we know all about that. The fight was stopped in a rematch, and now we're getting a trilogy. At this point, Wilder hasn't won a fight against Fury yet. Regardless of how you feel, how you personally feel, cheating allegations or Wilder's, his drink was spiked, and whatever you feel, this is not going to be that video. This is going to be a video about me addressing what the two fighters can do in the ring. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many people backs Fury, backs Wilder, no matter about the COVID-19 thing, all of this stuff that's come up in between arbitration, all of this stuff that's happened, it's not going to matter when they both get in the ring tomorrow night. At the end of the day, you're only on your own the night of the fight. And this is why we're gonna just break down the technical things about this fight. Now, let's start out with Wilder, because Wilder, since he hasn't won a fight in this trilogy, okay, no matter how you feel, technically Wilder doesn't have a win over Tyson Fury. All right? So 75% of this is going to be me addressing what Wilder needs to do, his flaws that I've seen him over. I've been watching Wilder for a very, very long time. Okay? So I'm going to be addressing Wilder and what he needs to do to win, or what I think he needs to do to win this fight. All right? And the flaws that Fury has used and taken advantage that Wilder has. We know that Wilder is not the most technically sound. He is not the most skillful, gifted fighter. Okay? Wilder has a lot of power. Wilder is very explosive. Wilder is very athletic. All right? He's knocked guys, almost knocking out Fury as well. He's knocked out guys with, for the most part, one single punch. All right, he is a hard hitter, and it's worked for him throughout his whole career. We've seen points where he was down on points. We've seen points where he was getting outboxed. But his right hand has always been the neutralizer. It's always been the thing that stopped his opponents. All right, even when he was technically getting outboxed. All right, and we know that Fury is the more technical fighter. All right, the more gifted boxer. All right, better defensively, slicker fighter. All right, he's also taller and longer, has a longer reach. I believe his reach is longer, and he's also a bigger man. He's a heavier guy. We saw him come in much heavier in the second fight, and in his third fight, I'm expecting him to come in heavy to the weigh-ins. Actually, later on this afternoon. All right, maybe I'll jump on later on and do some live commentary then. We'll see. All right, but anyway, so this rematch, Deontay Wilder, he's made some changes. He's fired Mark Breland. All right, but he still has JD's, but his head coach right now is Malik Scott. All right, Malik Scott, who's been a part of his camp for years now. They have a close relationship. Yes, they fought together before, but Malik Scott is running the show this time around. Right? We've seen plenty of these videos showing Malik Scott with Wilder hitting mitts, working on different things leading up to this fight. All right. Let me address that first. I like the videos. All right. I believe that Wilder needs to give him more of an arsenal. All right. We can't just simply rely on a big right hand. Wilder has to box somewhat. Wilder needs ammunition. All right. We need combinations. We need him to keep fighting. I prefer the Wilder in the first fight as opposed to the Wilder of the second fight. Now, I know a lot of you believe that Wilder just wasn't himself because he was drained. All right. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But I prefer Wilder in the first fight. But the problem with the Wilder in the first fight is that he was trying to rely on a big right hand too much. And it was just very predictable with a Tyson Fury. All right, Tyson Fury was able to slip that shot, to slip that right hand 99% of the time. He was able to duck and avoid that right hand, which made things a lot more competitive because Wilder was throwing a lot more punches, but he just wasn't landing. You know, and this is why people believe that Fury won, because Fury, his punches were more accurate. All right. They were shorter, they were straighter, they were straight to the point, where Wilder, you know, he throws his right hand sort of like it's all about spaces for him, and he throws his right hand like it's a baseball pitch. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is with Fury saw it coming every single time. All right. So when I see these videos, him training with Malik Scott, the combinations, you know, see him slipping. Malik Scott said himself, he's not going to focus strictly on parrying shots, right? Just knocking, you know, blocking shots with his gloves. He wants to work with Wilder on slipping the shots and countering, which I agree with him. All right. And I like that they're working on that, because Wilder needs to be more animalistic. All right. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to throw shots to the body. He needs to throw more combinations. He needs to make more use of his hook this time around. He has a hook. He threw it a lot in the first fight, maybe midway through, because he kept missing it. He was off his mark throughout the first half of the fight. But somewhat in those middle rounds, Wilder's used to start, you know, he started making more use of his left hook, all right, countering Fury's left hands, countering Fury's jabs. He was using more of his left hook to counter, right? But the thing is, it was like a slapping hook, all right? He wasn't really putting power into those left hooks. He wasn't really leading with the left hooks and following it up with anything. He was just using it to counter, and just more... It was just more like a scoring shot, not really a power shot. You know how like young Ryan Garcia, that's his best punch. You know, he knows the timing perfectly, and he's knocked out not a lot of top level fighters, but he's knocked out and stopped a lot of those top fighters with that left hook. Wilder really needs to put his knuckles into that left hook in this time around, and he needs to follow it up. He has the timing right, but he needs to follow it up with other shots, not just not like pot shotting it. You know what I'm saying? He needs to really follow it up with something heavy. I've seen combinations where he's slipping, he's ducking under, and then going to the body. He needs to go up top with another, you know, double that hook up, you know, follow it up with a right hand. He needs more than what he was doing in that first fight, you know, and he needs to put more power. So that's one of the key things that I've seen in those training videos. The problem is with those videos, right? He's doing good combinations. He's slipping. He's getting low. You know, he's working on things. This is the thing. As I said, I've been watching Wilder for a very, very long time, right? I'm not here to just just base everything off cheating allegations. All right. I want to we really want to dive and look at Wilder's career, his opponents, how he's looked in other fights. All right. People feel that the water was spiked. He wasn't himself. People say that he's looking great. Like I watched some of his interviews. I was watching Blue Bloods channel. He was doing an interview with Wilder. Wilder was shirtless. I was watching some of the interview. And shout out to Blue Bloods and whatever for getting these exclusive videos with Wilder. But the thing is, Wilder looks great. He looks strong, right? But Wilder's always looked like that to me. He's always looked great before going in the fights, Top up, he looks good, He looks very fit. He's very muscular. I mean, he's looking like what a heavyweight champion looked like. He's always been skinny from the waist down. But up top, he looks incredible. He looks strong. I mean, he looks to be in the best condition that he should be at this point in his career. All right. But I think it's a lot more than that. And these are the flaws that Wilder's have that people are not addressing. First off, in the rematch, Tyson Fury was the aggressor. He's the one that came and made Wilder fight on his back foot. He made Wilder fight going backwards. Now, this is the thing. Wilder, when I say he has good legs, when I'm saying he's very quick, he is like quick twitch-like. He said that. And I'm always going to bring up things that he said, his camp said. He's like twitch-like reflexes, right? He can be explosive at times, and a lot of that involves his feet. When it comes to stepping in and out to avoid danger, to get out of danger, and stepping in and out quickly to be explosive, all right, to connect with that right hand from the outside. He's very quick when it comes to that, right? But Wilder has never looked good when he's forced to fight backwards. His legs are not good when he's being forced to go backwards. Not when he's luring in an opponent like a Spilka fight. You know how in a Spilka fight where the fight was very competitive as far as a boxing sense, like Spilka was doing a good job. He was a little bit more in his prime at that time, and he was a little bit more sharp. So he was doing good boxing Deontay Wilder. But the problem is Spilka lunged in, and Wilder, he timed that right hand, right? Caught him with a straight right coming in. But Wilder was luring him in. See, that's different from you going backwards because you're getting pressured to go backwards. Just like Gennady Golovkin and Canelo won. Canelo was getting pressured to move laterally, to move backwards. But in the rematch, he kept the fight in the center of the ring. I'm not budging. We're going to box, but I'm standing my ground. I'm holding my ground. Wilder in a rematch was moving backwards because he was forced to doing it. Because Fury is coming in, he's shooting his jab. He's throwing straight right hands, short right hands, right down the pipe, which Wilder is throwing hooks, but he's throwing looping shots, He's throwing right hands over the top. Fury is coming straight in continuously, and Wilder is getting hit with everything that's coming to him. And to prove this, let's go back to a couple of older fights. Let's go back to the fight that I made my very first Deontay Wilder video on back in 2013. I remember this fight clearly because this is one of the videos that I did early on my channel when I was watching Wilder as a fan, and I was looking at him on the come up, and I remember that they fought, what's this guy's name? Damn, I should have pulled it up. Give me 1 second. What's this fighter's name? Deontay Wilder against... I'm sorry for the hold up. Deontay Wilder was fighting... All right, I got it up right here. Give me a second. Because I don't want to forget this. This is very important. All right. So Deontay Wilder was fighting a guy named Nikolai Furta. Right? Not a guy that... He was an experienced journeyman. He's been in there with a couple good guys. Never won any big fights. He was a journeyman. At the time that Wilder fought him, he was 21-10. Nothing special about this dude. But Nikolai Furter took the approach to be aggressive, right? He charged towards Wilder. And Wilder being that, yes, and Wilder stopped him early. When did Wilder stop him? In 4 rounds? Wilder had to take a different approach because this is one of the first fighters that came at him very aggressive, and Wilder looked very clumsy and was getting hit with a lot of shots from a D-level fighter. This guy is nowhere near on Wilder's level or some of the other fighters that Wilder has faced after him. But this guy was giving Wilder some issues early in the fight. Very early. Wilder, of course, started to connect and box, but this guy was coming towards Wilder very aggressive, and he forced Wilder to fight backwards. And when Wilder is fighting backwards, offensively, he's not as good because he needs those setups. His legs ain't right. The weight distribution is not good. His pivoting, his everything. If you look at his legs, he looks very off balance, right? And he's not in a right stance to get that power in those shots in. Plus, on top of that, offensively, he took that away. Further took that away early. And then defensively, Wilder's now getting hit. I'm going to give you a second example. Let's go up a little past that. Johann Duhaupan, all right? So this is another fight where the fighter now, this is a level, a much higher level than a Nikolai Further. This is a guy that actually has a good record, has been in there with some of the best fighters. He was 32-2, and this is a guy that has a game plan that no other Wilder fighter opponent had. He's coming in with a tight high guard, right? And shooting the jab and stepping forward. And Wilder is forced to move backwards. You get where I'm going with this? Now Wilder is taking hits. His whole right eye is swollen. He's taking more hits. Now he was able to win the fight and stop his opponent. But it was a fight where he received a lot of damage, more damage than we're used to seeing. We didn't see this in the Malik Scott fight. We didn't see this in the Jason Garrett fight. We didn't see this even in the Berman Stavern fight. We didn't see this against Eric Miller. We didn't see all of this in these fights, all these other fights. You know why? Because Wilder was always in control. When he was moving backwards, it was by choice. When he was coming forward, it was by choice. But now we go into Tyson Fury, who is the very last fight that he has, and the only opponent that's made Wilder go backwards. Ortiz, yes. Ortiz, at times, he was, pushing forward because Wilder was stepping backwards, waiting the time. This is a fight between two guys that's trying to counter each other. So it's different. But when he fights Tyson Fury in a rematch, what is Tyson Fury doing? He's coming in. He's shooting those hands, those right hands. He's popping that jab. He's using his range. And then when he's going on the inside, when Wilder's trying to get in on the inside, Fury's tying him up. If he's not catching him as Wilder steps in, he's tying him up and leaning on Wilder, the smaller Wilder, the shorter Wilder, the slimmer Wilder. He's leaning on this man, draining him. So Wilder is getting tired. Look at his balance. Not just in the Fury rematch, but in the Nikolai Further fight. Look at the Johann Duhaupan fight. You got to look at those fights. Look at his legs as he's going backwards, when he's forced to go backwards. Not when he's doing quick step backs. You have to look at these things. If you don't want to look at these things and just want to say, well, Wilder wasn't himself. Well, Wilder has been that way in other fights, but he wasn't getting pressured. He wasn't getting pressured in all these other fights that you've seen him look good. He wasn't getting pressured in the first fight. Fury was with Ben Davison. Ben Davison, they're focused on outboxing Wilder. Their focus is on defense, slipping, countering, not putting pressure on Wilder. Now, in a rematch, it's all about pressure. Tyson Fury is with the Crunch Gym. He's with Sugar Hill. He's coming in. He's heavier. He's looking to put down power. He's sitting out on the punches. He's cracking Wilder with heavy, heavy right hands. And they're straighter. They're shorter. He's doing things that Wilder never had to deal with on top of putting the pressure down. He's not Johann Duhaupan. He's not Nikolai Further. This is a much, much more far advanced fighter walking you down, beating guys like Vladimir Klitschko in his prime. You know what I'm saying? Well, Klitschko wasn't in his prime, but Klitschko was on his reign for all those years. This is Tyson Fury, the guy that can switch it up. He can fight. Yo, people don't even realize he got inside game too. If you look at the Derek Chisora fights, you can see his inside game. Fury can literally do it all. And Wilder's dealing with a fighter that has come to pressure him. So what does Wilder need to do in this fight, this trilogy, this third fight? First of all, he needs to hold his ground. These things that him and Malik Scott are working on, he needs to maintain that, keep this fight in the center of the ring. Don't fight going backwards. Don't fight. I know Fury's going to pressure you. They're saying that Fury might come in 300 pounds or close to it. All right? I hope that's not true. You know, I wouldn't want Fury to be too heavy. All right? But, you know, at the same time, Fury is going to be heavy. You know, if you're looking at him, if you've seen him at the press conference, you can tell he's heavier. He's not as slim as he looked leading towards the first fight. So Wilder needs to hold his ground. You practicing all of these different combinations. All right, you hitting the mitts, you looking good, you're slipping shots, you ducking under shots, that's good. And you're looking to counter on top of that. But counter, use those combinations, but keep the fight in the center of the ring no matter what. Because once Fury is pushing you towards the corner, he's pushing you against the ropes, he's leaning on you. No, you need to slip, pivot, get out of danger. Keep the fight, have some space. Use those lead left hooks. Let's get a little feinting, all right? All right, start pulling the jab. Keep that lead hand out there. Keep it out here. Don't just do the same typical baseball pinch over and over again. Find different ways to set up that right hand. Apologize for the noise. You already know. New York City. Find different ways to set up that right hand. That right hand is a weapon. And I know it looks predictable, but it almost stopped Fury in the first fight. All right? Not so much the first knockdown, but the second knockdown, the 12th round knockdown. He caught Fury behind the ears as he was ducking. Focus on shooting that while Fury is just looking to duck to his right over and over again, every time. You know, let's focus on trying to shoot that right hand towards the target, towards where the head was moving. You know, that's what we need to work on. And we need to fight to stay in the center of the ring. We cannot go backwards because Wilder can't box going backwards. I'm not quick. Again, let me repeat. Not quick step backs. Not him luring an opponent in. He can't fight going backwards. He can't. And the proof is out there. If you choose to look at it and listen, it's out there. That is not the first fight I seen Wilder getting hit that much going backwards. That's not. All right? Tyson Fury, on the other hand, he needs to implement that same game plan as he did in the rematch. He's coming in heavy. He's a guy that won already. We already know what he's going to come and do. Put that pressure on Wilder. Do not let this dude breathe. Don't give him any kind of time to think. He's going to be more aggressive. He's going to attack the body. Keep that pressure on Wilder. The minute that Fury begins to step back because Wilder is giving him, he's attacking the body or he's hitting him a little bit more than what he was doing in the second fight. The minute Fury steps back and goes back to the way he fought in the first fight, which he can do, all right? But the minute he does that, he's giving Wilder more of an advantage. It's becoming more of a 50-50 fight. Fury can't do it. Fury has to be all the way aggressive. You're the bigger guy with the bigger reach. You can step in. You don't even have to put yourself that close to Wilder. You don't have to. You can keep it. You could keep it on the outside. Wilder is the one that needs to come in. So as you're pressuring him, stay out of range, right? Do what you did before. Tie up, lean on him, drain him, work him out. Wilder, another day I forgot to bring up Wilder. I hope he worked on endurance. I hope he's been doing some road work. I hope that he's done things and exercises that has been it's been based on his conditioning and being able to fight at a high pace for a long period of time. He's gonna need it. He can't be so burnt out. Since he knows now he's dealing with a fighter that's pressuring him, he has to be able to have the better stamina this time around. He can't be so burnt out so soon. So this is what Fury needs to continue doing. Burn him out. Lean on him. He's a smaller man. Keep that pressure on him. Keep them shots short and straight. No looping shots. Send them right down the pipe. Go to the body a little bit more. Fury can do it. You already tired him out, burned him out. Shoot some of those big right hands to the body. All right? Which he's done. You know? Shoot some of the, he doesn't even have to get that low because his arms are so low. He can loop. He could send looping left hands and jabs to the body without getting so low to do it. Because his reach is so long and he's so tall. You know what I'm saying? But continue at it. Back him up. We don't want this fight in the center ring. You don't want to be going backwards. Because even though you can box well and you can slip these shots well, you're making the fight closer than what it has to be. The job is to stop Deontay Wilder. That's what you need to do. Once you start going back to the first fight, you're making the fight closer. Even if you think Fury won the first fight, it doesn't matter. You're making it more competitive. You need to push Wilder all the way backwards. Force him to do it. Because he hasn't shown that he has the experience of dealing with that. You get what I'm saying? That Duhaupas fight, that wasn't no accident. It's because of the way the man was fighting him. That rematch, it wasn't no accident. It's the way that Fury was fighting him. Now, if you want to believe the Spike Water thing, that's on you. If you think it's that simple, that's on you. You know, I don't know. None of us can really prove any of that. Wilder said it. We don't know. You know, I don't know how they were able to prove that. All right, but that's what he said. But I am telling you, Wilder cannot fight going backwards. And Fury needs to take advantage of that. And if there is a point where he has to adjust, he will. You know, if Wilder is doing better, which I think he will. I believe Wilder is going to do better this time around. If Wilder is doing better, you know, and this fight is kind of debatable, then be really aggressive and make it an inside fight. Stay in the pocket. I know Fury has long arms, but Fury can fight in the pocket. He can. You know what I'm saying? So, being that you are the bigger man, yes, you can pressure him from the outside, but you can also pressure him and be a bully on the inside. So he can always go to that. Don't give Wilder any space. Wilder, on the other hand, got to be aggressive. Throw the combinations. He has to do all of that. All right? Few things before I end this. People are not... I don't understand. I haven't really understood why I've heard some great people talk about this fight, you know, pretty much since the rematch, you know, and no one's really addressing the age of Deontay Wilder. Wilder's going to be 36 in a couple weeks. Fury just turned 33. Wilder being 36 it could be key, you know, because a fighter that's very athletic and relies on his athleticism and his explosiveness, you got to understand that maybe part of the reason why that he looks slower, outside of the fact that he was getting pressure and he was fighting going backwards, is because he is getting up there. He's in his mid-30s. All right? Maybe, yes, even though Tyson Fury is his most credible opponent by far, he's also fighting Tyson Fury in his mid-30s. This is a huge step up. I know, I know Luis Ortiz was a big step up at that time. But, you know, in that first fight, you know, Wilder was younger. Fury just turned 33. Okay, he's at his peak, where Wilder should be around the age where things slow down a little bit. So you also have to take that into account. Also, Wilder, the training videos with Malik Scott, I didn't see any video which showed him fighting under pressure. Not saying that they're not preparing for it, but I haven't seen any change in the way that Wilder moves. All these clips are great clips. They look good, but a lot of these clips, I see Wilder doing things that I've seen him do before. I know that he's capable of doing these things because I've been watching him fight for a long time. I already know he's capable of doing things because I seen the way that he stopped Duhaupas when I seen him, throwing rights and left to the body at the very end, wild. And I seen him stopping Duhaupas with that. And I seen a clip of him doing that with Malik Scott. Okay? I seen him time guys like Gerald Washington and Arthur Spilka with that short right hand straight down the middle. I seen him do that before. I've seen him do a lot of those exercises, a lot of those training videos. I've seen him do these things in fights before. Now, if you're going to make him create that muscle memory in him so he can do all these things all in one fight, put it all into one fight, instead of having certain moments where we seen these tactics, then yes, that's good. But I had also wanted to see if Wilder could move a little better. Going backwards. I wanted to see a little bit better that. I wanted to see his balance. I wanted to see more balance in him going backwards because there might be a point in this fight where he's going backwards. Has he improved on his conditioning? Has he? I don't know. I haven't seen any of that. Now, he might have, and I'm not saying, listen, they don't have to show every single thing they worked on. But based on what Malik Scott has said in interviews, based on the training footage that we've seen, he's saying that he's bringing all of these things out of Wilder that we know he's capable of doing, that he knows he's capable of doing. Will that be enough? I personally believe that conditioning and endurance and balance and his footwork and being able to fight going backwards, I believe that those are some more keys outside of just slipping shots and countering, I think that's more of a key as well. And I haven't seen that. I don't know if he can do that, especially this late in the game. With that being said, I have Fury winning this one. I've been against the fence. Like, I've been back and forth, especially months ago when the fight was rescheduled. And, I started seeing these videos of Wilder. And, I said, you know what? I felt it was like a feeling. But it didn't make sense to me. Because when I look at Wilder and when I go back and look at these fights, and I'm like, nah, Fury's better. Fury's is better than him. It is what it is. I believe that. Now, if Wilder proves me wrong, cool, good for him. He wins the fight. But Fury can beat him on points, and Fury is capable of stopping him. Wilder, of course, he has a huge puncher's chance, especially because he almost knocked out Fury. Almost. And he's knocked out everybody else he's fought. But Fury's a different beast. Fury has taken the hardest punches from Wilder. All right? And Fury has totally took control in their rematch. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough, especially mentally when Wilder believes that, a lot of him and his fans and the people that's around him believe that he lost because he was treated unfairly and cheated. I've heard him say a lot of things, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Do you really feel that you lost because a better man won? If you don't feel that one way and you feel like you only lost because you were cheated in both fights, then I don't know what else to tell you, Anyway, that is my breakdown. Again, smash that like button if you made it this far. If you like the video, smash that like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button as well. And I will be here tomorrow to cover the entire fight card, all right? Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm out. Peace.